Hey everybody, John Wright from Simple Leadership Strategies here, and for the next 3 minutes I want to talk to you about a recurring challenge that we have discovered 20 years ago. When I first started working with Transocean and they wanted to improve the reliability of their blowout preventers, they thought it was an equipment issue initially. Then they realized it was a procedure issue. But then we realized one of the reasons people weren't following procedures was because of the culture and the environment on the rigs. They were being pushed and rushed so that they cut corners, and when an error would occur and they had to do an operational event report, they wouldn't tell the whole story because they were worried about being run off. So the lessons weren't learned and mistakes were repeated. Long story short, we came to the conclusion that they had a leadership issue. Too many people on the rigs were mere managers and not leaders. And worse than that, some of them were actually bad bosses. So right from the beginning, we asked them to participate in this little survey. If you've watched any of these videos, you've heard this a half a dozen times, but it's worth repeating. We asked them if they thought there was such a thing as a bad boss. They said, sure. Is there such a thing as somebody who's efficient and effective, a good manager, but they're not a leader? And then there are people who are both. They're good leaders and they're good managers. Then we gave them a little 3x5 card and we asked them to think about their last three bosses and to put them into these three categories. If you would not want to work for them again, put a check mark under the bad boss. If they merely managed, check mark under mere manager. And if they changed your life, then put a check mark under transformational leader manager. This is how the percentages shook out. And this has been confirmed by other companies that do this kind of research. Less than 1 out of 3 are considered leaders. In this case, 30%. 45%, almost half, were considered to be mere managers, and 25% to be bad bosses. 1 out of 4 was the kind of person that made people want to quit. Actually caused them to be actively disengaged, which caused them to do things that would actually bring harm to the organization. Now, fast forward 20 years. Yesterday, we started a new program with Smith & Nephew, a manufacturing company here in Fort Worth, and we put their leaders through the first session, and we asked them the same question. On this card, write down the number of people that you've worked for, the last 5 people that you've worked for, into one of these 3 categories: transformational leader, mere manager, and bad boss. These people yesterday marked 25%. There's 12 people in this class. 25% of the managers that they've worked for their last 5 managers were bad bosses. That has not changed in 20 years. 25% were transformational leaders. That's actually 5% less. 50% were mere managers. These numbers haven't changed. There's 2 organizations that confirm this. Harvard Business Review says that leadership training, for the most part, is a waste of time and a waste of money. It doesn't change people. Gallup says that engagement has not changed much in 30 years. It's barely budged. And the reason engagement hasn't improved is because we do not have more leaders and fewer mere managers and fewer bad bosses. So my simple question to you is, if you manage managers, how do you know which ones are bad bosses? Some are obvious, but a lot are not. And the only people who know they're bad bosses are the people who work for them, and they're not talking. So what are you doing? What is your written strategic plan to improve or remove bad bosses and then transform mere managers into leaders? Your organization's number one job is to transform managers and leaders, therefore creating leaders at every level of the organization. That is what is going to engage people. That will enable these engaged people to become more like partners, to become a high-performance team, and then transform customers into advocates. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what you're doing, how well you're doing it, and we look forward to your feedback. Have a great week.